Hi guys. So you just did an assignment where you looked at several of the miracles in Matthew chapter 8 and 9. And if we were to summarize what Matthew's trying to say in those miracles, it's this: Jesus is Lord. He is in charge. He rules. And when he speaks, people and things and objects obey. And so I want to walk you through each of those stories and tell you what Jesus is Lord over. In the first story, Jesus healed a man with leprosy, and the centurion servant who was paralyzed. I love that bit where he says, the centurion came to him and said, You should heal my servant who is paralyzed. And Jesus said, Well, I'll come. And the man says, No, you don't need to come, because I'm a man under authority. And so if I say to people, go and do, they go and do. And you're the same way. And so Jesus is amazed at his faith. So in both of those stories, Jesus shows us that he is Lord over sickness. The next story, Jesus is in a boat with his disciples, and a storm rages, and Jesus calms the storm. And they are amazed that with the command of his voice, he can tell the wind and the waves to stop. And so it shows us that Jesus is Lord over nature. In the next story, Jesus casts out demons from two demon-possessed men who are scavenging. They're hanging around tombs and graveyards, and they're cutting themselves and hurting themselves. And then Jesus, with the power of his voice, commands the demons to go into a herd of pigs. And so he shows that Jesus is Lord over the demonic. He's Lord over demons. He's Lord over Satan. He's Lord over all things that are evil. Then we have a story of a man that is paralyzed. And we would think that that would also be Jesus is Lord over sickness, like in the first stories. But with this story, he does something a little different. He tells the man, your sins are forgiven. And the Jews are absolutely baffled that Jesus could say, your sins are forgiven. And so Jesus shows us that he's not just Lord over sickness, he's also Lord over sin. So to prove that he has the authority to forgive sin, he also heals this man. The last story in this set is another one with two in it, and it's a little girl who has died, and her dad comes to Jesus and says, come and heal my little girl. But on the way there, she has passed away. And on the way there, Jesus gets distracted by a woman who's been bleeding for 12 years. In the same story in the book of Mark, it tells us that she had exhausted all of her resources. She had nothing left. So this woman was as good as dead. And so here, in an amazing, with the command of his voice and the touch of his robe, Jesus heals a little girl who is dead, and he heals a woman who is as good as dead. And so he shows us that he is Lord over death. And so to summarize these last 5 chapters, in Matthew 5 through 7, Jesus has the Sermon on the Mount where he says, the kingdom has come, and this kingdom is different. It's a kingdom of generosity and kindness. It's a kingdom of that's totally different than the kingdoms of the world. And then in chapters 8 and 9, he shows us that he is actually the king who has full authority to say, the kingdom has come and I am the king. The kingdom has come and I'm in charge. And so he shows with his actions that he has the authority to say the things that he had said.